Ship of Theseus. Imagine standing in an ancient harbour, watching as craftsmen carefully remove a weathered plank from a legendary ship. They replace it with fresh timber, perfectly fitted and gleaming in the morning light. The ship looks almost unchanged, yet something profound has shifted in that quiet moment of repair. Over the months that follow, you return to witness more replacements. Another plank, then the mast, then the sail, each piece methodically removed and substituted with new materials. Eventually, every single component that once made up the original vessel has been replaced, yet the ship still bears the same name and serves the same purpose. But here's where your mind begins to wander into deeper waters. Is this still the same ship you first encountered? Or have you been watching the birth of something entirely new? This is the Ship of Theseus, one of philosophy's most enduring puzzles about identity and continuity. Named after the mythical Greek hero whose ship was preserved by the Athenians, this paradox asks a seemingly simple question that unravels into profound complexity. If every part of something is gradually replaced, does it remain the same thing? The strangeness lies not in the question itself, but in how our intuitions pull us in opposite directions, leaving us suspended between equally compelling answers. On one hand, you might argue that the ship retains its essential identity throughout the process of replacement. After all, the changes happen gradually, one piece at a time, and at no single moment does the ship suddenly transform into something else. The function remains the same, the form stays consistent, and there's an unbroken chain of continuity connecting the original vessel to its current state. This feels right in the way that your body remains yours, despite the fact that most of your cells are replaced over time. But then another voice in your mind whispers a different truth. If every single component has been replaced, how can this possibly be the same ship? None of the original material remains, not a splinter, not a nail, not a thread of sail. The ship you're looking at now is composed entirely of parts that never existed in the original vessel. By this logic, you're staring at an elaborate replica, a faithful copy, that shares nothing physical with the ship that once carried Theseus across ancient seas. The paradox deepens when you consider what philosophers call the double ship scenario. Imagine that instead of discarding the old planks, the craftsmen carefully preserve each removed piece. Over time, as they complete their renovations on the harbour ship, another group of workers takes these original, weathered components and reassembles them into a complete vessel. Now you have two ships, one made entirely of new parts but maintaining continuous existence, and another made entirely of original parts but assembled after a gap in time. Which one is the true Ship of Theseus? Your mind might feel caught in an impossible loop as you consider both vessels. The continuously repaired ship has never ceased to exist, never stopped being a ship, never lost its identity through time. Yet the reassembled ship contains the actual wood, the actual nails, the actual fabric that Theseus once touched. One has continuity without original substance. The other has original substance without continuity. Both claims to authenticity seem equally valid, equally impossible to dismiss. This paradox extends far beyond ancient ships into the very fabric of human experience. You face the same puzzle when you look in the mirror each morning. The cells in your skin have been replaced countless times since childhood. Your bones have rebuilt themselves. Your blood has been renewed. Even your brain, the seat of your consciousness, has undergone constant change at the molecular level. Are you the same person who learned to walk, who felt first love, who made promises years ago? Or are you a continuity of experience inhabiting an entirely new physical form? The question becomes even more poignant when you consider relationships. The person you love today carries the same name and memories as the person you met years ago, Yet every atom in their body may have changed. Their thoughts have evolved, their dreams have shifted, their very essence has been shaped by countless experiences. Do you love the same person, or have you been falling in love again and again with someone who shares only continuity with your original beloved? Memory itself becomes a ship of Theseus in this light. Each time you recall a moment from your past, neuroscientists tell us, you're not accessing a static recording but reconstructing the memory anew. With each reconstruction, subtle changes creep in, details shift, emotions evolve, perspectives mature. Over time, your memory of an event may share little with the original experience, except the thread of continuity. You remember remembering, each iteration a plank replaced in the ship of your past. Perhaps the beauty of this paradox lies not in finding a definitive answer, but in how it illuminates the fluid nature of identity itself. When you stop demanding that things be either same or different, and instead allow them to exist in the space between, something profound shifts in your understanding. The ship is neither purely continuous nor entirely new. It exists in the dynamic tension between these poles, much like everything else in a universe defined by constant change. You begin to see that identity itself might be less about static essence and more about pattern and relationship. The ship maintains its identity not because of its material components, but through the relationships between its parts, the patterns they create, the function they serve together. When a plank is replaced, it's not the wood that matters, but how that new piece fits into the existing pattern, how it maintains the relationships that define shipness. This perspective offers a gentler way of understanding change in your own life. You don't need to cling to every aspect of who you were to remain authentically yourself. Like the ship, you can allow parts of your identity to be replaced. Old beliefs, outdated dreams, former ways of being, while maintaining the essential pattern that makes you who you are. Growth becomes not a loss of self, but a careful renovation, a thoughtful replacement of what no longer serves while preserving what matters most. As you drift towards sleep tonight, let your mind float on these questions without needing to anchor them to solid answers. The Ship of Theseus reminds us that some puzzles are meant to be lived rather than solved, experienced rather than explained. In the gentle space between waking and sleeping, between same and different, between who you were and who you're becoming, you might find a kind of peace in the paradox itself. It's not about determining whether the ship is truly the same or truly different. It's about noticing how beautifully it continues to sail.